I'll put it in here, maybe. It's gonna, antenna's like right near my ear. It's probably not good for my brain. But how many people are here for the first time? The Alembic. Welcome. Great. Hi. Yeah, good. Hello. Okay, so let's start with our, I don't know if you guys also have the prayer. You have the opening prayer booklet, the handout. Oh, probably. You want to get that? Yeah, because we're still going to do that. Every night we do, every Tuesday night, at the beginning of class, we have an opening prayer that we do. And so there's a sheet that has that. And Annie will hand that out. Thank you. While she's doing that, I'll just give a little brief description of it. It's a shloka or a stanza from a famous Hindu praise to the goddess, a text called Devi Mahatmya, the many prayers to the Devi. And it is the 12th stanza that praises the goddess as Narayani, as the goddess who saves beings from foundering in the ocean of samsara. Basically, it goes something like, "We the downtrodden," which resonates a lot these days. COVID and war and spine surgery, and sometimes we feel like we're a little downtrodden. So it can be nice to have someone to pray to for help when you feel like you're at your wit's end. In any case, this is a beautiful old prayer. The translation is underneath the Sanskrit at the top. So it's the first thing you'll see there on page 1. And then you have a word-for-word translation below that. So you can take this whole sheet home with you. You can take both of these handouts home. If you like it and you want to take it home, take it home. Otherwise, at the end of class, you can turn it back in to Hannah or Annie, or bring it up here and put it on the stage at the end of the night, and then somebody can use it the next time. Okay? So we always try to just land and start with this prayer. Listen to the melody. We'll do it 11 times tonight. Just takes a few minutes. And once you get the hang of it, then feel free to join on in and sing and join us all. Some people have been coming regularly and know it well. So let's take a moment and close our eyes and take some deep breaths and settle into our seat. Releasing tension with the out-breath, feel your body and mind landing more fully in the moment, here in the room, on your cushion, in your body. And I'll say the first line and you can repeat after me, second line, repeat after me, and so on. And then after that, we'll do 11 times together. Sharanagata dinarta, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute, Narayani namostute. Good, now together. Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinarta Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Thank you. So Annie, could you help me with one more thing? Could you come up here and move that little table right in front of me here? Thank you. No. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you, sweetie. Okay, so tonight's a little bit of a different format because we're starting something new. So we'll have some old themes, but we'll also weave in some new themes. And so I will start with a little introduction to this new theme of the mind training, Lojong. And then my hope is to just give you a little bit of movement. We do some simple yoga, kind of joint mobilization exercises before we actually do our sit to prepare the body and the mind for sitting. Okay, so we'll have that little breather between the talk and the meditation to let your body move. Okay, and then we'll end with a sit. Now, some evenings we'll do the inverse. We'll start with a meditation. We'll start with the chanting, a little movement, and we'll meditate right from the beginning. And then we'll do a Dharma talk at the end. But tonight, I want to talk first. Okay? How many people have studied Lojong before? Mind training a bit? Yeah. Okay. Great. So What I thought I would do is begin with a little introduction, tell you the background, my background with this practice, give a background to the practice itself, and then we'll get into the first slogan, the first one-liner teaching, and that will kick off the series. There are 59 slogans, and in the past, I was looking back at my notes. I think the first time I taught this was in 2016. That's the earliest I could find in my notes. And it was at the old Dharma Center in San Francisco back in the day, at Against the Stream. How many people were part of that community back before it folded? Yeah. So now it's called San Francisco Dharma Collective, still going strong, different leadership. But in any case, that's where I started offering Lojong on a weekly basis, much like the format I will do now. And it can take about a year. Now, will we take the full year? I don't know yet. I want to see how it goes, because there are 52 weeks, right? 52 weeks in the year. And so maybe some nights will be one slogan, some nights will be two or three. Maybe we won't spend too long on some. Maybe we'll spend a couple classes or even a few classes on others. So I want it to be organic, but I also want you to have the sense of the breadth of these teachings. And I've done this series a few times already since then. And it's nice to take our time and really chew on the themes, meditate on them, discuss them, give you a chance to ask questions, do some reading if you're interested in doing reading in between classes so that you really build your knowledge base and your foundation in the Dharma, the Buddhist Dharma, from the ground up through these Lojong practices. How many people have some, maybe, at least a year or 3 years of Buddhist study and practice? Just raise your hand. So I just want to get a sense of the room. Yeah. How many people are in the Tibetan Buddhist world? A few. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Theravada? A little bit? Zen? What else? What else? What else? What else? Other Mahayana traditions? Okay. Okay, good. So what is usually done when we start off embarking on a classic text is for the teacher who is sharing the text to give a background about how they got the text so that you understand where this is coming from. Roots are very important in Buddhist tradition. Really, these teachings can be traced all the way back to the words of the Buddha himself, right? So you're getting them now from me, and I got them from my teachers. So the stream lives through you now, right? So you're in the lineage stream. You're lineage holders if you want to be. You don't have to be if you don't want to be. You don't have to be Buddhist. You don't have to be my student. I'm just saying that now I receive these teachings from the mouth of my teacher into my ears. Now you're receiving from my mouth into your ears. So this is the oral lineage, very strong in Buddhist practice. And in fact is actually required for authentic teachings, they say. Now, of course, there are different ways we can learn and have realization. We can get it from a book. But they say the optimal thing is to have the tree, which in Tibetan means the oral transmission, the oral transmission from mouth to ear. And that's what you're getting here. Now, I got it from one of my first early mentors, B. Alan Wallace. So I first learned these teachings in this particular text that we're learning, the root text to the 7 points of training the mind, from Alan Wallace in 1997. And like me, he did it over a long period of time. Every week, we'd come together, we'd learn, we'd meditate, and he would give commentary. So I will structure my class much like that. Later, when I went to Dharamsala, studied Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetan language in North India, I received teachings from His Holiness the Dalai Lama on the mind training as well as from my Tibetan language mentor, Kuno, or Ngawang Tundap Narkid is his full name, a wonderful elder, a Tibetan man. He was the official biographer of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, particularly focusing on the prior Dalai Lama, the 13th Dalai Lama, up until 1950 of this current, so into the teens of this current Dalai Lama, the 14th. Very knowledgeable. His core practice was Lojong. So he lived it. So as I was studying Tibetan language with him, he would teach me the principles of mind training. I'll define that in a moment. Then I also learned from Drupal Lama Karma, Lojong teachings. More recently, this must have been in 2017. He was a resident Lama at Taramandala. Did you meet him? Were you there when Lama Karma was there? Yeah, it was. You were there after. Yeah. So Katie lived at Taramandala. You did the volunteer program, right?
It was kind of a unique program because it was
Yeah.
during the lockdown.
Right.
So it's like a practitioner residence.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so Taramandala is the Buddhist retreat center that I'm affiliated with. I'm the lead senior teacher there. It's in Colorado, Southwest Colorado. Has anybody been there? Anybody in the room? Judy has. Yeah, good. I highly recommend going. It's beautiful. We have a wonderful temple with 21 statues to the Taras there, and a beautiful shrine room. We have great retreats. We're just starting to get back to in-person events there. You can find out more at taramandala.org, taramandala.org. In any case, we had this wonderful Bhutanese Lama come and live with us at Taramandala for about 3 years, I think. And he had done a cumulative 19 years of solitary retreat in Bhutan. And he taught some of us, a small group of us, how Lojong, these 59 slogans and teachings, can be learned over 100 days, like a 100-day retreat. So what he would do is he'd teach one slogan or even just a fraction of a slogan and say, okay, go and meditate on that small fraction for 3 days. Come back, report back, how's it going? And then he'd give you some feedback, give you something new, meditate on that for a few days, then come back. So you really, step by step, learn and then integrate in retreat. So that was Drupal Karma. And so that's my history with this. So it goes back, and this is really, like I said last week, is my desert island practice. If I were to only be able to take one practice to a desert island, it would be Lojong. So let me define Lojong before I go in. So what is it? Go into the history more. So essentially, Lojong means mind training. Lo means mind or intellect. Lo. And then Zhong means to train or to purify. So we're training the mind. And essentially, all Dharma practice is mind training. It's all mind training. It's just this is known more explicitly as mind training. But even if you've done Vipassana or Zen or studied different types of shamatha Vipassana, those are all different techniques for training the mind, right? And in training the mind in Dharma practice through meditation and contemplation, we are also purifying the mind. We're purifying our perception so that we can, purify the veils that keep us from seeing, realizing, experiencing our true nature. So this practice of Lojong is kind of one of the broader categories of training the mind, but also the classic teaching that people think of when they say, oh, I'm studying mind training. It's Lojong, these slogans. And these slogans are used to help us understand the nature of the mind, understand the nature of reality, cultivate bodhicitta, or the compassionate wish to be of service to others. So there's very much a seva, a service component to Lojong and Dharma in particular. How's the temperature in here? Is it cold? Or do we have the heater on? Yeah? It's set to 72? Okay. Okay, we're all right? All right. So then the latter slogans focus on how to integrate these teachings and your meditation practice and your insights into daily life. So you get all sorts of fun, playful slogans, like "Don't expect applause," "Drive all blames into one." I'll unpack these, and we'll discuss these as the weeks go by. Okay, so just a little bit on the history and origins. Any questions or comments about that so far? I'm getting new glasses where I can look up and read, but right now I only have my readers. So, okay. Really, it was the 8th century CE where Buddhism was really planted in Tibet. Okay, with Padmasambhava, one of the great tantric adepts, a Buddhist tantric adept who came up to Tibet and kind of tamed all the wild spirits and helped to really plant Dharma in Tibet. But these mind training slogans didn't come until the 10th century, a couple hundred years later, with the great teacher Atisha Dipankara. Okay, he's a very interesting character and a very important figure in Buddhism. He came from India. He was invited by one of the great Tibetan kings, Yeshe Dorje, but Atisha declined the invitation 2 times. Atisha was very well known for being one of the greatest masters of compassion, really somebody who really realized compassion and bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is that compassionate wish to awaken for the benefit of others. Ultimate bodhicitta is also the direct realization of emptiness. So he was renowned, and the king wanted to revive. Buddhism had diminished a little bit, so this king Yeshe wanted to revive Buddhism in Tibet, and he invited Atisha. Atisha was getting older; he didn't want to go. He was a monastic, living a comfortable monastic life in actually Bengal. He was a Bengali. Until finally, the 3rd invitation came. And the story goes that in a dream, Blue Tara appeared to him and said, "If you go, you will benefit many beings. Your lifespan will be cut short, but you will benefit many beings." And so he contemplated that, because Tara was one of his main devotional deities. So he had prayed to her, and she appeared to him in response in this way. And he thought, after contemplation, well, what's a few years shaved off my life? If I can benefit beings, I should go. So he decided to go, and they traveled for probably months overland up and over the Himalayas into Tibet. And one of the stories of Atisha that I love so much, that has really helped me in my life, is his trip to Tibet. He decided to take with him an attendant, and he took a particularly troublesome attendant. They called him cantankerous. He was a cantankerous attendant. When he got to Tibet, and the Tibetans realized, he's settling in, and the story goes, the Tibetans who were studying with Atisha said, "Why did you bring this horrible attendant? He's so sour and irritable and impatient." And Atisha said, "Oh, because he helps me practice patience." he's in a way my teacher. So this is the kind of humor and sensibility that you're going to get in the Lojong teachings. He turns things all the time. And so Atisha went there, and it is said that he lived in Tibet for 12 years and taught there. And just as a side note, I just finished a book on the 21 Taras, and the story goes that Atisha is the one who really brought the devotional practice of Tara to Tibet in full earnest. He was devoted to all the Taras. They're green, white, gold, blue, red, all different kind of blue, black Taras. But he particularly brought devotional texts related to white and green Tara. And it said, because of Atisha's devotion to Tara, Tibetans caught that like wildfire and took it and internalized it. And that's why, in essence, the Tibetan culture was so devoted to Tara as like their Madonna, their matron saint. It's because of Atisha. So he was born in 982 and died in 1054 in Tibet. So that gives you a sense of the time frame we're talking about. Yeah, so I don't think this is here. Oh, well. I remember most of it. There it is. So Atisha didn't teach these exact slogans. These were iterations that came later based on his early teachings. Atisha taught his closest disciple, Dromten Rinpoche, who was the founder of a very important lineage called the Kadampa tradition. Kadampa means the profound oral teachings, meaning, like I said, the profound teachings that come all the way from the Buddha, spoken, oral lineages. And it is that Kadampa lineage that is really well respected for preserving the teachings of Atisha, of the Lojong, essentially teaching compassion. That is really the most important theme in the Kadampa tradition, compassion. And Kadampa was later kind of swallowed up by the Gelugpa tradition, which is His Holiness the Dalai Lama's lineage. It's the most recent, the newest of the four lineages in Tibetan Buddhism. You have the elders, the Nyingma, which is the oldest. You have the Kagyu, which is also quite old, but from a different stream. Milarepa is one of the most well-known figures in that tradition. Then you have the Sakyapa, which is another wonderful tradition that traces its kind of clan all the way back to Sakyamuni. That's why Sakya clan. It's the Shakyamuni, Sakya. And then you have the Gelugpa, which is the tradition of virtue. That's literally what Gelug means. The Gelugpa is kind of swallowed up and really brought close to their heart these teachings on Lojong and Kadampa tradition. But Lojong lives and thrives in all of those four lineages, just like Machi Glabdrin's Chud practice was adopted by all of those four traditions. And so this Dromten Rinpoche preserved the teachings. Eventually, Atisha passed away, and not too long after that came a figure who's very important, and he's the author of this text. His name is Chekawa Yeshe Dorje. Chekawa Yeshe Dorje. He lived in 1102 to 1176. Before Chekawa Yeshe Dorje, these teachings were not taught that widely. And I love this story. He came across these teachings by accident. The story goes that he was at his friend's, in his friend's quarters, who was a monastic in the monastery. He was visiting him. They were having tea. And the friend got up and walked out of the room to maybe get some more hot water or something. And while his friend was out of the room, Chekawa Yeshe Dorje noticed there was a text at the foot of the bed, like where he was doing his daily prayers. And he looked at the text, and on it was one line that said, give all victory to others, take defeat for yourself. And he was like, what on earth? What? Never heard anything like that. And so when his friend came back in the room, he asked him where this came from. And he said, oh, it comes from these original teachings of Atisha. And so Chekawa Yeshe Dorje then sought out a teacher who could teach him this. And he learned at first the 8 verses of mind training by Langri Tangpa. Langri Tangpa had already died, but he found another teacher, Sharawa, and received transmission from him. So again, here's this idea of from mouth to ear, how important it is to learn the commentary to these teachings so that they come alive. So then for 12 years, Chekawa Yeshe Dorje studied and practiced these mind training teachings, and he wrote them down and later organized them into a text that we are learning here called the Mahayana Instructions on the 7 Points of Mind Training. It contains 59 slogans over 7 categories. And this is what became very popular in Tibet. Okay, so there's the historical background. And so then fast forward to here and now with us in this room in Berkeley or Emeryville, wherever we are on the boundary here. So before we get into the first slogan, I just want to also say that the core meditation practice to the mind training is the practice well known as Tonglen, sending and receiving, So sending and receiving is a compassion practice, much like metta. How many people are familiar with loving kindness meditation? Yeah, very much similar basis, right? Tonglen is metta with an added spice to it, is the way I like to think of it. Like if metta, loving kindness meditation, is simply wishing well, peace, joy, loving kindness towards others, cultivating that heart that has the capacity to do that even to our so-called enemies, right? So we gradually build up this capacity to do that, taught by the Buddha in the Metta Sutta. Tonglen is based on that, where we actually use the breath, and with the exhalation, we send out those metta type prayers. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. You can make up your own phrases like that. So in Tonglen, we're tonging, that's sending, with the out breath, those wishes of metta like that. The remedy to people's suffering. You can imagine specific person, animal, groups of people, and so on. But then with the inhalation, this is the spice. This is that extra piece that makes Tonglen different from metta. With the inhalation, you do something that's a bit more edgy, which is to imagine that you are breathing in that particular person or group's suffering. So may I have the courage to take on, metaphorically, not literally, the suffering of the other, transform it in my heart space, in my heart, which you will learn before we do the practice, is considered to be the heart of bodhicitta, the compassionate heart of awakening, the Buddha nature within all of us. And so that core of our being cannot be hurt by another. It cannot be sullied or damaged or made sick or, hurt in any way, because it itself is perfect. It's immutable. It's beyond duality. And so we imagine breathing in that pain or suffering of the other, transforming it at that Buddha nature heart in our heart chakra, and then sending out the well wishes with the out breath. So the inhale is a taking in, and an exhale is a sending out. So you can see now this similar theme from that one liner of take all, give all victory to others, take all blame onto yourself. It's that turning of the tables inversely in the opposite direction of what we would normally do, which is to want to take all victory for ourselves and blame everybody else for all the problems in the world. I mean, I'm not saying we're all like that, but that is our knee-jerk reaction. And so Tonglen is very much an alchemical practice that you'll get to play with, you'll get to feel into, and build your capacity up to doing that. I won't throw you in the deep end with that. And often I like to start with doing Tonglen for oneself, just like the metta practice. You start with self, then you start to grow your capacity to work with others after that. Okay? All right. So Any questions about that? All right, good. Yeah, I really encourage people to take care of their bodies. If you ever need to get up and sit in a chair, or even when we meditate, I also give you a chance to lie down to meditate. You can do that as well. Okay, so just a few more minutes of talking, and then we'll practice. Now we'll get into the first slogan. So take your sheet. This is there are many different translations. This is one that I like. It's a often used one from the Nalanda Translation Committee that translated these slogans way back in the day under Chogyam Trungpa's guidance. He really popularized these in the West first, and his student, Pema Chodron, wrote and taught a lot about them as well. So this is a handout that you can keep. It's got all the 59 slogans. And this is that root text of the 7 Points of Training the Mind by Chekawa Yeshe Dorje I wrote about. And this particular copy comes from this wonderful short text called The Great Path of Awakening, which I highly recommend if you want to study Lojong, by Jamgon Kongtrul. That's written there on the left side for your reference. So the first point, point 1, says the preliminaries, which are the basis for all Dharma practice. Yes, preliminaries are the basis of all Dharma practice, but even advanced practitioners can always benefit by going back, right? Going back to the beginning. I love going back to the beginning and learning this again and again. So even if you're not new to Dharma, always coming back to these foundational teachings with a fresh perspective can invigorate your practice. But first is to study the preliminaries, the basis for Dharma practice. And then the second phrase in parentheses is a very common one at the beginning of any spiritual text, both within Buddhism from around the world, but also stemming from the original motherland, which is India. It's common to prostrate to a deity, your particular guardian angel or deity that's important in your life. And so Chekawa Yeshe Dorje was a devotee of the great compassionate one, Avalokiteshvara. That's what they mean. Chenrezig in Tibetan. Avalokiteshvara is the Buddha of compassion. So he acknowledges Avalokiteshvara. I prostrate to the great compassionate one. And then the first slogan, number 1. And that's all that you're going to find in point 1, by the way. So remember when I said that Drupal Lama Karma would give you a fraction of one of the slogans and send you off for a few days to contemplate it and then come back? That was happening a lot in this first slogan because there are a lot of pieces to it. I won't go into such great detail, but there's a lot here. This first slogan says, first train in the preliminaries. So what are the preliminaries? What are they? Well, in particular, the preliminaries that you find in this and many other mind training traditions are called the 4 thoughts that turn the mind towards the Dharma. The 4 thoughts that turn the mind towards the Dharma. We could spend a month on this, but we won't. Don't worry. But these are very important teachings. These teachings were pivotal for me in my early days when I first started studying the Dharma, and actually helped me decide to take Dharma more seriously than I was at the time. So here, you'll see why. So the first one is contemplating the preciousness of this human life. This precious human life that we have with leisures and endowments. We have senses, eyes, ears that can read and listen to the Dharma. We have freedom. We're not imprisoned. We can read. We can take classes that we want to take. We can do what we want for the most part, right? So we're free. We have such great fortune. And even from a bigger perspective, we live in a time where a Buddha lived and taught. So they get very cosmic with these teachings where they say, look, you could have been born in an era where there was no Buddha, where there were no teachings like this. You could have been born in a hell realm. You could have been born as an animal. Animals are great, but they don't have that frontal lobe that we have, right? They can't, sit in meditation and ponder emptiness, right? Maybe they don't need to, but one of my old students was totally, she didn't like that Buddhism kind of was like, oh, animals are a lesser birth than humans, because she thought animals were the bomb. But they are, of course. We need to respect animals. My cats are probably more in line than I am. But at the same time, what Tibetans say is, if you said to your dog, if you recite Avalokiteshvara's mantra one time, you will achieve Buddhahood. Your sweet dog couldn't do it, And so for that reason, humans have this kind of frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, we have rationale, we have devotion, we have this calling for God in some strange different types of ways. And so for that reason, we have this special life where we shouldn't waste it. That's the main teaching here, is don't waste it. Don't waste your life. If you have these freedoms, you have the capacity and the interest, the inkling to study Dharma, to meditate, then do it. And don't waste a single day, Start now, because we never know when this life will pass. They say our human life is like a bubble floating on the surface of the water. It arises and then it pops. We never know how long we're going to be here. And so practice the Dharma. This is the first thought they also call the 4 revolutions or the 4 mind turnings. And what this means is the Lodok Namji is the Tibetan. It's Lodok. Lo is mind. Dok is to reverse or to turn around. Namji is 4. So it's like these 4 mind turnings that turn towards the Dharma. And it doesn't even have to be Buddhism. It could just be like towards your spiritual life. Like, are you a seeker? Are you seeking? What's turning you towards your path, your calling? Well, we can remember that we have a special situation right now. And so let's not waste it with this human life. The next mind turning is to contemplate impermanence, right? So things are always changing. Things are impermanent. And then we never know when we will pass away, right? So even this life is impermanent. So to really, like in your meditation practice, really think about it. Like, oh, right, I'm not just believing this because I've read it, but I can contemplate my friends have become my enemies. My enemies have become my friends. Your partner becomes your enemy. Your enemy might become your partner. Things are always changing. You were wealthy one day, the next you lose it all. You're healthy one day, the next day you get a diagnosis of something. We never know. Things are always changing. And so grok that for yourself through meditation, through contemplation. Even when you're driving around town, think about it. Like, my moods are impermanent. I was depressed yesterday, but now I'm euphoric. Like, what's that all about? Like, things are always changing. Where's the depth, the stability underneath all of these fluctuations? That's what meditation brings us to as well, and that's very important. But understanding surface things are always changing. If something is born, then it will die. That's the nature of birth and death. So contemplating impermanence and the uncertainty of the time of death. And that can seem very morbid, but actually it can be very uplifting too. It can be like, oh, I'm not going to waste a single day. I could die tomorrow. So let's have fun. Let's do something useful. It doesn't have to bring you down. In fact, it can bring you up. How many people have done Michael Taft's Death Sangha? I've never done that, but I think it's fabulous. And I think that he probably guides you through experiences like this. Like, what would it be like? Here's a thought experiment for you. Like, moving about your day from time to time, if you can remember to ask yourself, if I were to die right now, what would my mental state be? Where would I be right now? And what do I want to change that? How can I uplift that? How can I somehow interrupt the reruns that keep me kind of looping around in some negative states of mind? So death and impermanence can be very fun things to think about. And then the third one is karma, contemplating cause and effect. People think karma is like this negative thing. It's not. It's just action. Karma is from the verbal root kur, kr with a dot under it. In Sanskrit, it's just the verbal root to act. It's action. Cause and effect. Every cause has an effect. Every action has a reaction. Newton's second or third law of motion. Can't remember. Which one? Scientists? Second. Yeah, good. Yeah. So, not rocket science, but also very interesting. Robert Thurman recently said karma was India's theory of evolution. I thought that was interesting. First time I'd ever heard it put that way. Because the Buddha said it, this arises, because this arose, that is here. It's karma. So think about, where's my mind? Am I in negative states? Well, then I might kind of bring to fruition. Am I planting negative seeds? And I might have negative fruit, and so on. I have a couple good quotes here that are worth putting my glasses on for. Okay, so cause and effect. The Buddha said, the joys and sorrows of beings all come from their actions. So the Buddha. The diversity of actions creates the diversity of beings and impels their diverse wanderings. Vast indeed is the net of action or karma. And another one is from a sutra called The Instructions to the King from the Buddha. He said, whenever the moment comes to leave, O king, neither possessions, friends, nor family can follow, but wherever beings come from, wherever they go, their actions follow them like their own shadow. Yeah, the image is like, we don't always see our karma. When a bird flies high up in the sky, you don't see its shadow. But then when it comes down closer to the earth, you can see its shadow. So they say our karma is like that. We might not always see or sense or experience the repercussions of our karma, but when the time is right, when the causes and conditions are there, then they come to fruition. We see the shadow, we feel it. And I mean, Buddhists take the big view, like life after life after life. We might not experience the fruition of karmas that we create in this life. We might experience those repercussions in future lives. And likewise, what we're experiencing now might not be a result from this life, but more likely from prior lives. And because of karma is malleable, and we're not like preset or predestined, it's actually liberatory. We can free ourselves. Like the His Holiness the Dalai Lama says that because our behavior is learned, it can be unlearned. So we have this type of freedom because of karma. And maybe we can use these freedoms to be of more benefit in some way. Last quotation. And this gets to what's underlying karma, which is motivation. That's really what determines the outcome of karma, is not the actual act itself, but the motivation behind it. This is from Jigme Lingpa, one of the great Tibetan teachers from the 1700s. He said, if the root is medicinal, so are the shoots. If it is poisonous, must the shoots not be the same? What makes an act positive or negative is not how it looks or its size, but the good or bad intention behind it. So when you're going about your day, ask like, what is my motivation here behind this? Maybe I need to give somebody some feedback. Okay, what is my motivation behind the feedback? Am I pissed off um, or am I hurt and I want some more clarity? Maybe I'm both. So then can you get to a motivation that has the heart in it? Like I love you and I'm hurt by you, so I want more clarity, and then speak from that. Check yourself. Check your motivation. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? If you're walking down the sidewalk and you step on an ant by mistake, they say the karma is not really negative or positive. It's neutral because you didn't have ill intent. Of course, it's a bummer, but if you were stomping like a little 2-year-old stomping around going, rah, 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 I want to kill you, then they say that the karma is more negative. But, kids maybe get a free pass because they're kids, right? But motivation is important. It's a big topic. We're not going to spend all night on this. We can loop back around to some of these things. The last one, though, is so good. The last one is to ponder the unsatisfactory nature of samsara. So true. Samsara is the cycle of existence. That's literally what it means. In Tibetan, it's korwa. It's a circle. Go round and round and round. And because we're going round and round, we're kind of prone to karma and dualistic thinking and experiencing impermanence. And because of all of those things, especially because of impermanence, we never really feel or get this sense of satisfaction that we long for. We kind of, do you feel that? Like always a little dissatisfied, always just a little something off. No? And then every once in a while you feel really satisfied, but that's impermanent. Right? But do you get that? It's kind of like this existential angst, this feeling of like, what's wrong? There's something wrong. That's dukkha. That's the suffering of samsara. And that they say that like we suffer because we put all our eggs in the basket of samsara. We think that samsara, buying things, having the perfect mate or whatever, is going to bring us that satisfaction that we long for. But it's a faulty errand. It's a fool's errand. We won't get the kind of satisfaction we long for in samsara because everything is impermanent. That's why we enter on the path of deeper contemplation of the spiritual life. So this is the fourth thought that turns the mind towards the Dharma. Again, not trying to make you guys Buddhists. This is not meant to be proselytizing. It's more about like what makes your mind turn towards altruism, what makes your mind turn towards your spiritual life, whatever that might be. And this is one of them, is just pondering like, yeah, samsara can be flashy and blingy and kind of fun and exciting, but will it really give me the lasting happiness that I want? What the Buddha taught is no, it won't. That's why he taught the Dharma and meditation as a way to find that Buddha nature, that deeper lasting source of happiness within us and satisfaction. So there's more I could say about that, but I think that we need to practice. So those are the four thoughts that turn the mind, the Lodok Namji, and those are the teachings that relate to that first slogan, first train in the preliminaries. Now you know what they are. And we can discuss more. I can give you reading topics as well. But let's go ahead now and practice a little bit. Let's stand up so that we can stretch our legs. And you can step forward off of your cushion, I would recommend if you can. And just start to shake the knees out a little bit and kind of wiggle and just let yourself move in an intuitive way. You usually don't start this way. This is a little more Michael Taft. I don't know what he does, but I know he just lets you do whatever you want. So you can do that for a little bit here, and then I'll guide you through some joint movements. If you want to, you can fold forward, drape the head, stretch the back of the legs, release the back. Yeah. And then let's all start to come back up to standing. And for the sake of the camera, I won't go too far off course, but what you're going to do is step the right foot back and put the weight on the top of your toes. And you're going to start rotating the ankle in circles in a clockwise circle direction. We'll do 10. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and reverse. 2, 3. So you're getting the toes and the ankle and the knee and the hip in the socket. 9, 10. And then step onto the right foot. Same thing. Left foot a little behind you. 1, 2. Outward spiral. 5, 6, 7. Let the spiral move all the way up through the body even. Be loose. And 10. Reverse. 1, 2. Root into the standing leg. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Standing on both feet now. Now we come up to the head. We'll do neck rolls. Bow the chin down and then to the right. We'll do 5 circles, small, medium, large, as needed for your own body. 2. The eyes can be open or closed, whatever you prefer. Relax the shoulders. Feel the breath in the belly. And then come to center and reverse. 1, 2. A wonderful human body we have. We can move. We've got 2 legs, 2 arms. I think most of us in the room do. 2 eyes that can see. Last circle. Just really actually as we move, give thanks to your body. Appreciate it. And then look straight ahead. Shoulders forward, up, down, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want, you can have a little bend in the knees or keep them straight. 9, 10, and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Relaxing tension in the shoulders. And 10. Good. Now bring the hands in front of you. Interlace the fingers. Rotate the wrists. Double time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax the ridge of the shoulders. Feel the breath in the belly. What wonderful hands you have. How amazing. You're breathing. Got this human life. We can practice. We're so hard on ourselves with our body, our image, whatever. Just let's see if we can let that go. Now spiral the arms and be grateful for every breath, for these 2 feet that are on the ground, feeling the earth beneath you. Let the head go. You can tap the front hand on the shoulder a little bit, the chest, shoulder juncture, the back hand on the kidneys, the love taps. Hello. A few more rounds. Really feel the spine pivoting, vertebrae, tissues along the spinal column loosening up, circulation growing. Last time to the right, last time to the left, and then come back to center. Good. Let the hips circle. 1, 2. Relax the shoulders. This whole upper body is soft. The face is soft. The jaw is soft. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now bring the feet together, bending the back of the knees forward and circle. 1, 2 with the knees. I'm modifying. You can bend a little deeper than I am if you want to. I just can't do that. 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, last movement. Step hip width distance apart with the feet. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, and we'll do a little wave up the spine. 1, it's called Sarpa, the snake. 2, I'm making my moves really small, but you can make them a little bigger. You feel this rippling wave from the soles of the feet up through the body and out the crown of the head. Breathing deep, relaxed. Last few. And then coming up, inhale the arms overhead. And bring the hands down. Exhale as they pass in front of the face. We'll do 2 more like this. Inhale, raising the arms, looking up if it's okay for the neck. If not, just look forward. And then exhale, pressing the chi, the energy down through the body, into the legs, into the earth, rooting, sending your taproot. Inhale. And then exhale, slowly press down. Good. Okay. So then now let's take our seat, a comfortable meditation seat. And we'll do a 24 segment of time, a minute segment of time, Gatika. The 24 minutes is said to be the amount of time it takes for this prana, the energy, to cycle through the body one complete time. It's a nice length for meditation practice. 5 Gatikas equal 2 hours. That's a complete practice. So let's go ahead and take a comfortable position. Really take your time here. Make sure you've got everything you need to sit as still as you can for the length of our sit, that you're safe and comfortable. And we begin by bringing presence to the breath in the body. Simple quality of being in the moment with the breath in the body, releasing tension with your out-breath. Making sure that the position is nice and integral, the spine is upright, the chin slightly drawn in towards the center of the throat, and that lengthens the back of the neck, the space of the base of the skull, and the top of the neck open. Shoulders relax down the back. Palms on your thighs. The hips, the belly, the legs relaxed. The arms soft. The belly soft. The face softens. Feel the lower jaw relax away from the upper jaw. The forehead, the muscles around and behind the eyes soften. And bring the tip of the tongue to rest against the upper palate. Right at the root of the top front teeth, a gentle touching. And then breathe gently through the mouth or nose. The eyes can be closed if you wish, or slightly open. And we begin by soothing the body with the in and the out breath. The full field of tactile sensations of the body, from the crown to the soles. Soothing the field of the body, I breathe in. Soothing the field of the body, I breathe out. These classic words of shamatha by the Buddha. Let the mind alight upon this simple phrase and the feeling that it incites within you. Soothing the field of the body, I breathe in. Soothing the field of the body, I breathe out. And releasing the inevitable distraction as soon as you notice it. And facilitate that with the out breath, letting go, letting the thoughts, the ruminations, the grasping go with the out breath. And come back, a meditative mantra, soothing the field of the body, I breathe in. Soothing the field of the body, I breathe out. And having rendered the mind serviceable with this brief time of breath awareness, we'll shift now into the preliminary phase of Tonglen, sending and receiving, laying the foundation for our Tonglen practice by practicing with ourselves. So first, have this feeling of a warmth and awareness within the very center, the innermost center of your heart space. It's called the Hridaya, the cavern of the heart chakra, center of the sternum. Just bring your awareness there, and with each breath, feel perhaps a bit more of a inhabiting, enlivening of this space within the heart chakra, the seat of the soul, the home of your spark of Buddha nature. As if each breath aerates that area. Perhaps you haven't spent much time there. See if you can breathe in directly into that heart space and breathe out directly from that heart space, aerating it, opening the shutters of maybe boarded up old house there, or softening up any tension or resistance or closed feeling. Just breathing in directly to the heart space, where it becomes a bit more malleable, soft, open. Maybe you feel your tenderness, your heartbreak. Breathing out, relaxation, opening. Just do this for about 5 more breaths. Breathing in directly, 360 degrees around you, directly into the heart. Breathing out directly from the heart. And with each breath, feel this warmth growing. Like a small fire is being enkindled within you, a warmth, a glow. And then feel, sense, imagine the orb of light, golden light in your heart chakra, maybe the size of an orange. And you're breathing directly in and out from this heart space. An orb of light like the sun. And that is your ultimate bodhicitta, your Buddha nature. The spark of awakening within each and every one of us. It's immutable. Cannot be hurt. It doesn't die or isn't born. It's that natural state, the undying state. And it's a source of wisdom, of healing within you. So continuing to breathe in and out of the heart space, but then also let your mind roam in your body-mind complex and feel any areas or an area that might be needing some attention. Maybe it's a physical pain or emotional challenge or a thought, a judgment, an assumption. Feel where that lives in your body. And notice where it is. Maybe it has a texture, maybe it has a density. And in your internal life, your mind's eye turning towards that. And with your next in-breath, gently invite that to be breathed into this luminous orb of light at your heart. Welcome it home. And then when you breathe out, feel a softening around it, a release. It's like you're inviting a small child onto your lap. With the in-breath, breathe it into the heart. Just let this be intuitive. And with the out-breath, let it soften. Maybe there's a resistance around it. So soften that resistance. Maybe there's a lack of clarity. See if you can bring more space and clarity. Again, letting this be intuitive. You're working with your own challenges and breathing it in. If you like, you can use a texture of like a smoke, breathing in the smoke where it becomes dispelled by the sunlight at your heart. The out-breath is a cool solar breeze, bringing clarity, healing, acceptance, release, whatever it may be for you. So the dong and the len. The dong is ascending out with the out-breath, the healing. The len is the taking in with the in-breath, the welcoming home, fragmented, exiled parts of yourself. You can spend 5 to 10 breaths with one feeling and then shift to another if you wish. Let the practice ride the breath. The in-breath, you bring it into the heart space. Bring it home. The out-breath, sending acceptance, space, compassion, whatever intuitively feels like a good remedy, something helpful. Inhale, receive. Exhale, sending. Can you turn towards that which you've been pushing away? Can you drop into a deeper sense of patience or compassion for yourself? So when we train this up in ourselves, we have more capacity to do so in others. Just a few more minutes. So stay here. Don't waste this precious moment. Sometimes all we need is just a little more space. Just to soften the constriction around a feeling or a thought. You don't even need to know the remedy. Just breathing it in is the main first and maybe the entire step. Bring it home, let it be there. Exhale, soften the resistance or judgment or numbness around it. And we'll end with a chant to Chenrezig Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, Om Mani Padme Hum, as an extension of this heart wish for for greater healing and acceptance of our own life and being, and extend that out to all beings everywhere in dedication. Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Thank you. I say, if you know the one, you know the many. That's why we start with the self, with the Tonglen. Yeah, you know yourself. You have grown capacity to be kind and gentle and compassionate and accepting of those aspects of yourself you might normally push away. Then you have a greater chance of being there for others, being able to do that with others, children, for example. But yeah, so that's that first step. Now we'll unpack the Tonglen more as the weeks go by. Tonight was a little heavier on the background. We won't do as much talk in the beginning. We'll do more practice and then some teaching. But I felt it was important to give you some context and appreciation of the practice. So, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hannah. Do we have any announcements?
Just a general announcement that if you want to go
up to date with other events happening here, you can join the mailing list on the iPad lobby. Oh, and one more, we have a volunteer meetup this Sunday from 3 to 7. So if you want to
Oh, great.
join the volunteer community, that's a great way to get to know some people, and we'll just be doing some projects with it.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll think about ways to get the online folks the PDF of the handout. Maybe we can talk about that. So just so you all know that we'll work on that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I'll sit up here for a few more minutes. If you're new, come introduce yourself. If you have a question, you can come ask. And of course, there's tea in the hallway. Please get to know the Sangha, other travelers on the path, other people who've turned their or who are starting to turn their mind towards the Dharma. It's called the Sangha community. Oh, thank you, everybody. Yeah.